Hi guys, I'm David Olin from Roland and I'm here at Gear for Music to show you some of our new modular stuff. And I'd like to start with the System 1M. This is basically a modular version or semi-modular version of the System 1, which you might possibly be familiar with. You have the patch bay over here, so you have a lot of possibilities to patch individual parts of the sound in and out, and also control in and out as well. So you have red for audio and blue for CV. Let's try patching this a bit. I actually have it updated to the 1.2 version as well. So now we have new waveforms in here, 6 new waveforms, and they're all quite interesting actually. If you listen to this one, this is called Logical Operation. It's kind of a dirty, greedy waveform that's a mix of multiple waveforms. Like that. And on oscillator 1, I have the vowel waveform, which is my favorite, which essentially kind of makes it talk like this. Okay, so let's start patching a little bit. We have an LFO output here, so if I want to control an external filter, which my System 1M now is going through, and I'll show you that later, I can just take this LFO output and patch it to my external filter. Now let's see how that sounds. So, controlling an external filter, or I can, again, maybe send my LFO to the internal filter envelope. Then we get something like this. So with all this patching functionality you now have in the System 1M, you can easily create entirely new sounds that were not possible at all with the original System 1. Okay, so let's look at the EFX series. I have 4 individual modules here next to me, and it's the BITRAZER, Scooper, TORCIDO, and DEMORA. But all of these modules have something in common, which is the built-in audio interface at 24-bit and 96K, but also a software that's called CUSTOMISER. Now, let's have a look at the individual modules. Here is the BITRAZER. Now, essentially, this is a bit crusher and a cutoff filter in one. And the cutoff filter can be switched between a low-pass filter and high-pass filter as well. And as you can hear, it's very smooth, and that's because it's 24-bit resolution, so you have 16 million steps. And also you can have it self-oscillate like this, if you want. Also, again, like I said, high-pass filter. And we have the sample rate knob here, which obviously changes the sample rate. So if you want a more kind of bit crushed, lo-fi sound, this is the knob for you. Now, let's move on to the scooper. So the name scooper comes from a combination of scatter and looper. So it's based on the scatter effect that we have on the other Aira products, but also now combined with a looper. And this will do a lot of interesting stuff to your incoming line signal. So, all I have to do is press the record and play button here, which is actually also quantized thanks to an external clock that I have coming into the sync trig input here. So it will always give me a really nice and smooth loop. So let's try this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're listening to the actual recording. This means I can now activate the effect and I can tweak it around and totally mess up and scramble my loop here. I can also bypass it here and then go back to the recording. I can also listen to the loop by itself or with effects. And on top of this, I also have a cutoff filter, which actually works 2 ways. So if I turn it down, I have a low pass filter here. And if I turn it up, I have a high pass filter. As well as also a pitch knob. So the scooper effect is the ultimate way of scrambling up your loops and filter and pitch them around. Now let's move on to the TORCIDO. The TORCIDO is basically a distortion, but it also has this tube warmth knob right here, which gives you a very nice and warm presence in the sound. Let's have a listen to what the TORCIDO sounds like. So you have all the typical parameters you would expect from distortion, such as distortion level or distortion amount, like this. You also have the tone character, if you want it slightly darker or brighter. There. But also, my favorite, which is the quite original tube warmth knob. Now, if you turn this up, you will get a nice vintage kind of presence in the sound, which is very subtle, but still very big at the same time. There we go. Also, on top of this, you can also add a nice low boost to make it sort of backlit sound up. 3, 4. So the Torcido can basically go from just a nice vintage crunch to really hard distortion. So check that out. Last but not least, the DEMORA. Now this is a delay effect, but it's not your usual delay because you can create some really extreme effects with it. And that's mainly thanks to the fact that the delay time goes all the way from 10 full seconds to 20 microseconds. So that's 20 microseconds, not milliseconds. Let's have a listen to some of the cool stuff you can do with the DEMORA. So of course, here we have it in sort of normal delay mode. Now, you can also change the stereo grid. When you do that, it will create different types of panning patterns depending on how high you turn up the sound. Now let's try giving this some really radical effects. I will achieve this by turning up the feedback to the max and then decreasing the time. So that's just one example of the interesting stuff you can do with the DEMORA. So you get very radical changes in the delay time as well as pitch shifting effects. So check that out. And now finally, let's have a look at the CUSTOMISER software that is included with these modules. Like I said, it's available for iOS, Android, Windows and OS X as well. So here I've chosen BITRAZER. So this will be my main module. I can add a number of sub-modules, 6 to be exact. So I have 15 different sub-modules to choose from here. So as a simple example, let's take a noise generator here. Now everything is disconnected and I can easily just patch the output of the noise module to the physical outputs of the BITRAZER. Now what will happen is I will get a pure white noise. So let's take the outputs out, run those through a cutoff filter, and then again to the physical output. And as you can hear, I'm now in control of the cutoff filter this way. If I want to control the cutoff filter with one of the knobs, I can easily do that by simply passing one of the knobs to the input of the cutoff filter. Like this. And also, what's the interesting part here is I can actually dump these patches into the modules via just audio, which is actually just what I did. So I just have a simple mini jack cable going from the audio output of my Mac. You can use your iPhone or any other phone and so on to do the same thing. So that is the EFX series. By the way, also compatible with IRA-Link, so you can connect them directly via USB as well to an MX1. This software, the CUSTOMISER, is included with all of these, and they are all fully customizable in the same fashion as I just showed you. So please check the EFX out and have fun patching. Thank you very much. I'm David Oland.
Passion.
This is basically a modular version or semi-modular version of the System 1, which you might possibly be familiar with.